Hey, hello, and welcome to Dario Comics. And today we talk about two comics that are German. And I made this specific for the German channel, but it's not only about comics, these two. It's not a comic book review per se. It's kinda. This is the feeling of my youth and my adolescence. How do you say? My teenage years. I should Google adolescence, something like that. When I was young, my father died when I was 5. So very sad years followed. But as you can see, my heart is filled with love and fire for comics, life, babes, and so on. And when I hit my teenage years, when I had my young years and my teenage years, I got to read the good stuff. So these comics may not speak to you, but the feelings they evoke might speak to you. And we reached now 2020, 2021, difficult times. Let's talk a bit about the past 20 years. Before the year 2000 hit, I'm 36 years old. I was born 1985, as you can see on my Casio here. I'm wearing the Back to the Future watch. No, it's not the same, but I'm a retro guy. And I'm also a bit spiritual guy who makes cool stuff. But the times where we didn't have laptops and smartphones and smartwatches and everything was connected, you had to get your ass and go outside. And it was a really good thing. And you had to connect with people. You had to form gangs. You had friends. Maybe you didn't have friends. Maybe you were into comics or a nerd kid or did grew up in a strange family. Welcome to the world, and you're part of it. And your part in it is to make it lighter, to carry a weight, to overcome hardship, and to not give up, and not to succumb to stupidity and hatred and all of that crap. You want to be awesome. And that's why we make videos, and we continue make videos, and we're not going away. So when I was young, my father died. And my mother tried their best to shield us from the heaviness of life, because maybe you are watching now and you're an adult and somehow people can die, you can die, there's illness, there's unfulfilling jobs, there's also a lot of cool stuff, but sometimes something's always going on, and that's okay. That's part of growing up. But I guess there's not a good job in teaching how to fit into this world, how to learn to draw, because everybody can draw and everybody can write. It's not talent, it's a craft, and each craft can be fucking learned. I have a book here that's called Real Artists Don't Starve, and in this book it's explained that we'll see, like John Grisham was a lawyer. And I don't know, is it here? John Grisham then decided to write a book, and he wrote his first book, and it was not a big ballsy move. It was just a page a day, as I'm making a video a day or a video or two a week. And he wanted to create, and he wrote this book, and then he finished it, and it was good, but he was rejected everywhere. It was time to kill. And then he kept on working his second book, and all while working his job as a lawyer and having children and a family, he carved out time to create a new identity, a new life for himself. And then when he was finished, he had written The Firm, and this went then on to be a bestseller, and then a movie with Tom Cruise, I guess. So it's not one big ballsy moves that makes you something. It's small incremental steps, and these small incremental steps, it's what's missing in our childhood, while we want to learn to draw, because we're getting clogged up with shit we don't want to learn, and with parents that are stressed out. Maybe you have good parents, so good for you. really. And that lets us finally come to the essence of this video, because these two comics, this is like a video, a comic I found in my library. Like we didn't have much money, so I went to the library and I found this. And this is about teenage kids, or really like small kids, doing always shenanigans, and it's about love and playing tricks on others. And as you can see, the drawings are really cool, but this is in the likes of Kevin and Hobbes, and I really love this because the essence of this is a feeling of innocence, of childhood, of light things, of beautiful things. And I think sometimes it's called young Spirou, and this is called in German Der bewegte Mann, from Ralph Koenig, and this is from Tome and January, and maybe you know Spirou. And why I want to stress this, why this is so important, is because like in life you get different flavors, and sometimes life is heavy, sometimes life is really sweet, sometimes you get sick, sometimes you have wins. The better your roots, like if this is a tree, the better your roots. Like you have a great father, you have a great mother, you have great siblings. The tree that then grows is really strong and really thick because you have a lot of resources. But if you have just like your father's gone, you have a mother that's always depressed and so on, like the tree cannot grow into a strong thick thing, and so you struggle in life. But then there's literature, and there's comics, and there's songs and music and stuff you look, and I guess I have seen sometimes that it's not the people in your life that shape you. I mean, they are, because like they're interacting always with you, and they make you feel a certain way, so you adapt to that. But also the stuff you consume is very important, because you get different ideas. Like you can read this and you can get a feeling for this life that could be that you could have friends, or that you could play shenanigans, or you're having fun here in this in this comic, and it prepares you also for life. I have to say that the X-Men were kind of like, because the X-Men were outcasts fighting always a cool fight, I identified with that. So comics can become your parents too, or your influences. And look at the artwork. Like the artwork is so cute, so beautifully drawn. I compared this a bit with to Calvin Hobbes, and so a lot of care and love went into this, and this also seeps into your being, and all the fun too. So you become a bit lighthearted, you learn about life, and that's really, really important. And even if you didn't experience this, like you can take a look into a different world, and yeah, and it's also fun. It takes a bit the stress from your life, and that's also really cool. Like if comics can become not an escape, but something that refreshes your soul, your mind, and also reminds you of your true passions. And here, for example, they meet up here, he with all his friends, and he says, okay, give me chocolate bars and a frog and all this thing, and you can peek for a few seconds and see Willie's sister, and then, oh, here she comes again, Willie's sister, and then, okay, now it's enough, get all out, my parents are coming. And then they're all in love, and they paid him a fee. And then Willie's sister comes in, and you see that he was, just with a doll here, and that's really great. And the teacher is such a prick, and it's so much fun. And I recognize a lot of my own teachers that are. I mean, school was so weird because like I kind of liked our sport teacher, but he was a similar prick. And I mean, that's life. When you get older, then you start to understand, and it's not even pretty. But when you're young, it's can be still fun because you're kind of lighthearted, hopefully. And so here they prank their teachers. They write him a love letter and say, "Please meet me there." And this sports teacher gets himself dressed up and gets himself shiny, and then they meet up, and then they say, oh, here comes the last one. Take a picture. And that's really cool. And they play pranks on each other. Like here, this is the Padre Steiner, and they peek through the hole at the girls' locker room, and yeah, it's pretty funny. And this one is the principal, and he has also the same mark. So very lighthearted, very cool drawings, and yeah, this is what I want to tell you. Like, if comics have always been with you, there are different flavors, and sometimes you have to revisit also your your youth. And this was then my youth, and I don't want to make this too long, but this was then my teenage years, and there were many other comics. And this is a comic from Ralph Koenig, and it's about gay people and straight people. And it was the first time that I saw a bit of nudity and talking about relationships, and it's so funny and so real. So when I was growing up, I was kind of introduced to this stuff, and it has a great story, and it's really, really funny, and a lot of characters, and everybody's selfish and trying to figure out his life. And it's about a guy and his girl, and she breaks up because he's always sleeping with other girls. And so when Doro breaks then up with him, he tries to take his life, and he joins a man group, and they're talking about their, I don't know, man stuff in the late 90s. It's like Fight Club, just a lot softer. They're not fighting, they're trying to talk about their problems and about their manhood. And then they invite a gay man so they can become all more sensible. And they talk about a lot of stuff and what they think and about their feelings. But as then the comic reveals, then later I don't know, maybe they should just go outside and do stuff instead of talking so much. And then comes Axel, and he's like a hot guy, a stud, a guy played by, it was a very cool movie, a German, they made then from the comic a movie, and played by Til Schweiger, very famous guy, and he's like very masculine looking, a Chad, and so he doesn't give a shit about all this talking. He just gets girls and does his stuff, and he wants to get her back. And Katja Riemann, also very famous at the time. And here this is Norbert, and he falls in love with him, and he needs a place to stay and new friends, and it's very complicated but very funny. And yeah, and he joins the man group just because he needs something to eat, and he doesn't want to be alone, because he tried to take his life, but he didn't. He faked it only so his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend would come back. And so this is just, everybody wants to hook up with him. He wants to hook up with his ex-girlfriend or another girlfriend, and very funny. But then in all of this, how do you say, relationship stuff, friendships, and but also when he gets his girlfriend back, she doesn't want him to see his gay friends anymore. And of course he says, I'm not gay, but they're my friends. And she says, I don't want you to hang around with these guys. And very funny stuff, cool stuff. because like everybody is kind of selfish, and that's cool because it's the real world and everybody tries just to get what he wants. Yeah, they're not shallow people, they're just normal people, and that's also why this comic is so great, because like the guy who wrote this, Ralph Koenig, just wrote a piece of how do you say, he saw things that were going on in his life and he documented that and kind of commented on that and how things are going and how stories play out and yeah. And this is the straight guy, totally drunk after the party, and this is the gay guy, and then like really funny and yeah. And he sleeps over, and yeah, everybody's a bit selfish, everybody's a prick, but they're all real human beings. And let's end it on this picture, maybe a bit inspired by Crump. And yeah, see you in the next video.